Hello and welcome to this lecture on DevOps introduction. As I said in the previous lecture, if you know about DevOps, what the practice is all about, you can actually skip this lecture and then go to the next lecture. But if you want to stick around, and then I'll be able to actually let you know and let you understand what DevOps practice is and how that actually gels with the GCP tools and resources and technologies available. So what is DevOps? There are so many different descriptions available for what a DevOps practice is. This is what I could gather from my experience. So basically, it's a practice that brings together development and operations team by breaking the silos. I've seen so many organizations which I worked with before having siloed teams, and it was so difficult to actually bring them together. For example, like the dev team develops something and then throws it away to the operations team, which will take their own time to actually deploy it into the production. Until then, everyone should wait for the new version to be available, to be tested, or to be in the production. So this is a practice which removes the silo between development and operation, and its aims are to shorten the system development lifecycle, so more to do with agile development. Of course, DevOps can be practiced in agile as well as in waterfall, but it suits more, or it goes more with the agile development approach. Next one is provides continuous delivery. So again, here it's agile delivery methodology. So it's almost like you have a manufacturing conveyor belt which continuously keeps on delivering the products out of the line. So many people who are in manufacturing sector, they'll know actually what this is. And the outcome of DevOps practice is expected to be high quality software service. Why? Let's see in the next slide. That's because of these DevOps principles. So the first principle, as we saw before, is reduction in the organization silos. One of the other thing which I remembered is even the networking team, which is supposed to be a part of the development and operations, they tend to be in a silo. So they also come into this practice. Similar thing with the security team or security architecture. They also need to come into the DevOps practice. You all might have actually heard of DevSecOps, which is security in DevOps. So reducing silos is one of the biggest and foremost important principles of DevOps. Next one is accept failure as normal. We all know, like, software, when it is built, will have bugs. There is no software which is free from bugs, and they are normal. So failing something while doing a deployment, while going into the production, is normal, and DevOps practice accept that as a normal. Failure is normal, and you'll be able to have an option to quickly roll back into the previous working versions in your deployment if something bad actually goes or something fails with the new installment or new version or upgrade you're trying to actually deploy into production. Next one is implement gradual changes. So basically, rather than going through a big bang change, so what DevOps principle suggests is to have gradual changes to be implemented and deployed into the DevOps pipeline. Leveraging on tooling and automation, this is one of the important principles, where we use different tools for doing the DevOps practice, like building, containerization, deploying, and monitoring. And measuring everything comes as part of the monitoring. So every step you do in the DevOps practice is to be monitored and measured. Anything you measure gives you an opportunity to improve. So measuring everything comes under one of the principles of DevOps. there is a saying in automation where, if you do something manually for more than 3 times, automate that or script it. So that's one of the primary principles which DevOps has. We'll see what CICD pipeline is. CICD is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Many people usually have put this drawing as kind of an infinite loop where it starts from the coding and then monitoring and then goes back again to coding. And I got this drawing as a linear arrow for convenience purpose. So CICD is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Planning is there in all the phases, and the second line set of arrows actually shows the phases in the CICD process, and the third line, security, is embedded throughout the CICD process. So let's go through each of the arrow inside the CICD process. First one is the code part is, you develop something, code something, then actually you do the build of the code, build and deploy into your development environment, and then you do the testing. So even before going into acceptance testing and all, while doing the build, you'll be doing unit testing, you'll be doing integration testing, and then you'll release it to the release cycle. The release cycle can be like, you go into staging or pre-production environment, and then you go into a production environment. There could be some A/B testing which can be implemented in the release cycle in the production environment, and you then go into deployment and monitoring. So once the deployment is done in the release cycle in each and every environment, monitoring actually follows with that. So when you do the monitoring, what is important is it's not only like monitoring of the code running in the environment, but also of each and every step you do in the CICD process. So you monitor while you do the build, you monitor while you do the unit and integration testing. So every monitoring actually provides you with data which is used for enhancing that particular step in the process the next time you do it. We'll now see what GCP offers for the CICD process, which we saw before. GCP has cloud source repositories, which is like the source code repository or the Git repository for storing your code securely. Then comes the building and testing process, which is done with the cloud build tool, which is available in GCP. We'll see about each of these tools and resources available in detail later on in the further lectures. Next comes the container registry and artifact registry, where you do the release into and then store your artifact or store your image. Next comes the deployment. There also cloud build actually help you with the deployment process. Next comes the monitoring part, where Stackdriver, which is the monitoring and logging tool available with GCP, is used for. You can also see few other tools which I mentioned over there. Cloud Scheduler, which is like a kind of a cron job or schedule job which you can run in GCP. Then Cloud Load Balancing and Cloud CDN. These tools are not part of any of the CI/CD process in DevOps. I would still recommend the DevOps engineers to know about them. In the subsequent lectures, we'll go through each of these tools and then try to find out like how they actually work and how it has been used in real-time production environments. We'll also take a look at the cloud VPC or the virtual private cloud, how the networking actually works within GCP in the subsequent lectures. We'll also see about Helm chart and what Flux is over there on the bottom right hand side. We'll actually cover that in the coming chapter on advanced practices. We'll have a chapter on advanced practices at the end of this tutorial. So to summarize, we saw what DevOps is. We also saw what DevOps principles are and went through each of the principles. We also saw the CICD process. We also looked at what GCP tools and resources are available for the CICD process. So that's it for this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll see a bit of what GCP is, how they have actually spread around the world with their regions or zones, and about the web console, how actually it looks like when you actually register with GCP. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next lecture.